All right, this is Patty Madlab back at you with another podcast. The name's starting to kind of ring true. With me today, I got one of my fucking favorite people I've ever met in this industry. If we lived in the same town, we'd be hanging out all the time, probably fishing, hunting, doing stuff like this. We actually go on vacation together. We've been in Miami together, and a few times, and we've been to summits. And I just find myself drawn to the dude. We met each other, I think, the first time at the CrossFit Games, maybe 2013 or 14, and we just met each other and hung out drinking. But here's Beau Bibb from Podunk, South Carolina.
What's up? What's up? Yeah, it's a lot of good times so far, especially the Miami trip, and or I guess it was Key West. It's good
Yeah,
times.
Key West was good too. Yeah. So one of the things I decided, Beau, when I was kicking off this podcast, is like I'm just tired. I'm tired of it. I'm sick of it not saying the truth, because for forever I just even brush on the truth, and I'd get a lawsuit slapped on me, or I'd get trolls on me, I'd be in all kinds of trouble on the interweb, and I just said fuck it. I'm gonna tell the truth. So it's so true that people can't deny it. So that's part of the reason why I got you on here. So in this thing, if we got to blurb it out later, or if we look at this thing before we release it and go, hey, maybe we shouldn't have said that, we'll do that later. But let's just let the shit fly where it flies, and we'll pick up the pieces later. Because it actually hurt my soul. I think you saw me. I put on quite a bit of weight, and I was just like, it was eating me up. And I'm out of that, and we're in a really good situation again. Madlab, the consulting and online school part was a hell of a thing to figure out. And I got absolutely no end of grief with CrossFit trying everything they could do after Greg wouldn't hire me to sabotage everything we've done. And fuck it, I'm just going to tell the truth, let the chips fall where they may. I mean, he's out. Everybody's out of the industry almost. I mean, from my early days, there's nobody left. There's maybe one guy that's hanging in with a charity church gym or something. Like, that's about it. Everybody's long moved on from this thing. So let's live truth to power. So just tell me, there's a couple of questions I want to ask you right off the bat, because I don't know if I knew all the answers. Where were you born and raised? Were you born and raised in the same town or near that town? And tell us what town this is.
Yep, I was born and raised in a little town outside of Clemson. It's probably the biggest city I can give someone that would know anything about South Carolina. If you look at the state, we're at the very, very tip. If you look at the state, it kind of gets bigger at the bottom and it goes up. We're at the very tip, right at the Georgia line. But just a little small, rural town. Lived there, grew up there.
Seneca, right?
Still live there.
Seneca?
Well, they're all kind of together. Seneca, Clemson, Anderson, Townville area. It's what we consider the upstate.
And that's obviously not Clemson, the university. That's in Georgia, right?
Nope, that's it. Actually, Clemson University is
it?
in South Carolina. Yep, that's.
Man, I always thought Clemson was in Georgia.
No, it's right at the line. So we're Georgia University, which is our University of Georgia. Excuse me. It's in Athens, which is about 45 minutes from where I'm at.
Wow.
Across the line. But yeah, my house is literally two exits to Georgia. So like we're right there on that border. But yeah, born and raised there. Left for about 2 years to go to college in Spartanburg, and then moved to Columbia, which is University of South Carolina. Went there for remainder of it, and then I moved back to the upstate and been there ever since. So 37 years of living in this small town.
Is that all you are? You're only 37 years old?
I'm 37, yep.
Man, you're an old soul. I hang out with you, and I sometimes think you're so wise. This guy's going to be older than me. I thought maybe you're just one of those people that look young that's like 60, Got one of those genetic disorder things or something.
No, I think that comes with the South, man. We age well. We get the old soul side of things. We get our grandparents, hang out with them. We learn a little bit from the next generation before us. So you kind of take a few things from that.
Well, I think that's where we bond. I think my town's been around since 1763, and there was like everybody is like Mrs. Heather and Mr. Dean, and all the older people always had a Mrs. in front of, or Mr. in front of their first names. Was that like that in your town?
Yeah, Southern hospitality. That's always been you got to say sir and ma'am and open the doors for people and that type of stuff. The old men, you can always learn something from them. They go to breakfast every morning at 5:30. If you ever go there to a local diner, show up and you ever want to learn something, those guys are probably the guys that you want to learn something from.
Yeah, I know exactly
Sure.
what you're talking about. Just for the record, I grew up in a little town called Gaspé, Quebec. My great-great-grandfather moved there in 1763, and my parents are still there. So it's got a lot of the same kind of, maybe it's old world England or something. I'm not sure where that exactly came from, but yeah. So, okay, here we're going to get some real hard questions.
Uh-oh.
Were you any good in school? Were you any good at math in high school?
No. I wasn't really good at basically anything in school. But no, honestly, the only thing I think I've ever been decently good at was the exercise side of things. PE, athletics. That was kind of what kept me sane in high school, because I hated every bit of high school and I hated every bit of going to college. But at that time in my life, it was like you had to do anything. I didn't want to have a manual labor job. I did that growing up, and I was like, I'm not doing that shit. So how do you not do that? And college was it. But that's kind of where I found the exercise thing and got into that, because I was terrible. I was like, what can I do to not take math? No, I shouldn't say take math, because I had to take some type of math. But the minimum amount of math classes, the minimum amount of all these other chemistry and all that type of stuff, and I landed in physical education. So
that was your degrees in physical education?
Yeah, taught school for 4 years, actually 5 years. And
you were a school teacher. That's true. You were a school teacher, right?
I was 5 years at high school, athletic director, coach. Kind of that's where I think I learned a little bit about. I didn't know how to run a business per se, but I learned a little bit about like managing money, managing expenses for different club teams and things we're running there. So that was kind of like if I hadn't had that, then I don't know if I would have even knew where to start with the business side of things.
Well, that leads right into the next question here. How the hell did you get into the fitness industry? You're looking kind of dark there, like you're witness protection over there. I don't know how you do this.
Well, I'm trying to sit in some light. There we go. How about now? I'm moving around a little bit.
Yep, that's good. You look like a little bit like Jesus, man. You got a little halo going. You got some light coming on. Yeah.
Well, see, here in South Carolina, we have really nice weather today, so I'm sitting in the sunshine a little bit. So, well, as far as what got me into fitness, as far as opening the gym, or
yeah, what got you into the industry? Opening a gym? Yeah, let's start there.
Well, back up a little bit. So as soon as I got out of college, I started personal training for Gold's Gym, and I was doing that part-time as a school teacher, because school teachers can't make enough money without doing a separate job.
Wow.
So I think anybody in the teaching industry or coming from the teaching industry understands that.
Not in Canada. They're not doing that in Canada, I'll tell you that. But okay.
In the United States, I think my first salary, of course, this was 2008, but like $32,000 a year. So pretty low. So I was doing a part-time gig at the local Gold's Gym, and just trying to personal train clients. They were charging $60 a session, and I was getting like $7 or $7 to $20 of that per hour. I don't remember exactly what it was, but it was pretty low. And I was like, man, I know more than the guy that's selling the personal training hours. And that's where the CrossFit thing kind of was like starting to take off. And I was like, man, I can do this out of my garage. And so that's when 2011, 10 and 11, I can't exactly remember the month that I started training clients out of my garage, a little 250 square foot garage with one barbell and 4 kettlebells and 1 pull-up bar and a couple slam balls. I went to town at training people there, and of course I was charging basically anything, hardly anything, excuse me. But at the same time, it was like more than I was getting at the Gold's Gym. So that was kind of what launched me into getting the idea that I wanted to potentially do it longer term. But of course, the school, you got retirement, you got benefits, you got all that good stuff. So, that was the start of the gym, but it took me a little while to kind of quit and leave that all behind, I guess you would say.
So what year did you start the gym?
2011 was the year that I formally started my CrossFit affiliation. I had the gym running for about 6 to 8 months before that. I don't remember exactly what months. Like I said, probably 2010 was early 2010. I'm sorry, late 2010 was when I started training people in my garage. 2011, I think it was June 2011. I started my affiliation with CrossFit.
All right. So how were you running things then?
A hope and a prayer. So
where were you getting your information from to run this thing? Like, or how are you figuring it out? What were you getting? What was your sources?
Trial and error, man. Trial and error. I just basically was, I guess the journal, CrossFit Journal, was kind of a big thing back then. And I was just reading tons of articles on there, just trying to figure out what to do. I was looking up prices of other CrossFit gyms in other states because I want to say I was in the top 5. It opened up in South Carolina, so I had no idea like how to price it. I had no idea.
So what was the service though? What was the client development process? Like, what were you doing? Like, how'd you get them in the door?
I popped a website up. I posted something on Facebook that I was training people out of my garage, told some of my clients that I was personal training at the local gym, and that was pretty much it.
Make a website?
Had a website. Really shitty website. But I think the CrossFit name is what started to get my what got me my first
back then
clients. Back then. I mean, honestly, that's the first clients I ever had. They came to me only because they had seen CrossFit. They Googled it. They figured out that we were an affiliate, and they came. So I do, as much as I disagree with a lot of things that CrossFit has done over the past 10 years, I have to say, like, I would not be here as an affiliate owner or a business owner without that launch up. So I do owe that to them.
Yeah, I mean, you think that, but I mean, what were you doing when they came into the gym? What were they doing? What'd you do with them?
We did CrossFit. We literally
just put them into a group class, right?
Yeah, group fitness. Most of the time, I took whatever CrossFit.com had off their website. I would dumb it down a little bit based on I'd go through the comments. I don't know if you remember this, and those that have probably been around for a while. You could go through the comments, and the comments would say like ways to scale it, how people scaled it, and things of that nature. And I would do that, because I didn't know that much about CrossFit at that time. It was just I knew that it was a booming type thing, and I saw it as a low barrier of entry as far as getting in as a business owner. And I knew I had to have something, because just tagging myself as at that time Bibb Fitness or whatever I wanted to call it, the world was really Globo style, and that garage gym where we'd say now the boutique style gyms were not a thing at that time. CrossFit was the only thing that you could do that with. You could have a grungy warehouse and people would show up and you could charge them an astronomical amount of money. Looking back now going, shit, I wouldn't have paid a dime for that back then because it was hot and just nasty and all that type of stuff. But at that time, that was the only service, I guess you would say, or industry, or what I don't know what CrossFit's in company that would allow you to do that for $3,000.
Yeah, I mean, I was built on the backs of a lot of other people doing a lot of hard work, and
I'm sure
Greg took the brand of that and ran with it with the 2-day course, and anybody can open it up. So, I mean, there was a good aspect to it in that anybody could start their own business. But, super low barrier to entry and easy to understand. I mean, how you understood it was, hey, I got to run these classes. I put them straight into a group class. I can scale it and no one will ever leave and this will work great. I won't have any attrition and I'll pay the coaches How much an hour? You had any of the other coaches as they came on?
Man, the first, oh, God, 3 years. It was me and my brother, and
Oh yeah,
that
I
was
remember
really it.
that.
And the only thing I paid him was he got a free place to live in the front of the gym. He was a college student as well, and I was like, I'll trade you, training an early morning class for me, for you to live in the gym for free type thing. So it was a long time before I had my first coach.
So how long did you? That's kind of beautiful. It's really beautiful in a way. It's actually a great story. But how long did you run it? Like most CrossFit gyms still run today, where you come and bring someone right into a group class. You scale the thing. There's no real progressions. There's no consult. There's no assessment. There's no personalized training. It's just come in and do this group class, and then you pay the coaches, or don't even pay them anything by the hour. Just come and do it for free or contra, or
Yep.
there's so many gyms out there doing here 2 hours a week, and you get a free membership or something like this, right?
Yep.
So how long were you doing it that way for? I mean, that's super easy to set up, super easy to understand. How long did you do that for, and what were the problems that started happening with that?
Well, I will say I probably did that from 2012. I mean, I knew right away once I moved locations in 2012. So let me back up and say that. So like, I knew that was kind of where I made the leap into the fitness world, what I thought was going to be my full-time, gig. And so I moved from my little garage, and I rented a 700 square foot, like little industrial building, and which actually right beside me right now. I actually own it now. But at that time, I rented it out, and I had 7 members, and the rent was $700 a month, or lease, and I leased it for a year, and I basically got a handshake and a prayer that all those 7 people would stay with me, so I could at least cover my lease for that year. And with that, as soon as we opened up, day one, we had like 30 new signups day one, just kind of getting it out on Facebook, and we're opening and grand opening. At that time, like none like now, where Facebook, you got to pay for everything. At that point in time, if you posted it, there was no algorithms that would put it to the bottom, and if people knew you, they would share it. I grew up in this small town. I told you that earlier. So, my name was out there. Like, people knew me, they recognized me, they knew. So I had some connections. Let's put it that way. And day one, we launched 30 people, and I knew at that point in time, this just throwing people into a group class is not going to work. So, I tried I can't tell you how many different ways I tried.
Why do you say it's not going to work? How did you know?
Just the logistics of, I've always, I don't know why, for me personally, I've always been very defensive on the whole, like, CrossFit gets you injured type thing, I think, or CrossFit's bad for you and that type. So I've always kind of like erred on the side of safety. I don't know why. That's always been a big thing to me. Maybe it's my pedagogy background with teaching, or I don't know, but that's always been huge for me. So I knew that just looking at it as taking these brand new people, putting me into a group class, with them having no idea what to do, was not the right way. And it was just a logistic nightmare to have to teach 7 new people how to do a back squat in the same hour, and also get other people to do back squats in the same hour. So it was just like, crazy. And that point in time, the 2 or 3 or 4 week, I don't know, I've tried them all, 4-week boot camps, or like indoctrination program. They've been called many different things, but that was around, I think, Brand RX or Brand X, or someone had it. I don't remember, but it was free, and I stole that. What was it called?
The blueprint thing?
I think it was, no, that was next. That was Brand X. So
what was it called?
Is the people that did the,
I know Mickey Martin and Jeff. They're good people.
I don't remember exactly what their boot camp was called, but it was like a way to get people to class, and they gave it all for free on their website. And I was like, I'm just going to use that, and so that's what we used in the beginning. Then we morphed over, and that's when Barbell Blueprint kind of started getting bigger, and that was the guys at Barbell Shrugged. So I bought into their 2 week blueprint. You got all that stuff. We ran that for a while, and that's kind of when I met you. Well, actually, I lied. I had to go back to teaching because I was making zero money, and so I went and I was doing a long-term sub deal, and I remember like it was yesterday. I was sitting inside of the room, and I'm teaching elementary school, which was a nightmare for me because I didn't mind high school that much, but elementary I just couldn't do it. And my buddy from Southern Moon CrossFit, Hudson Freaky, we were texting or something, and he was like, "You need to check out this Madlab group." And I was like, "What?" And he like, "What are you talking about, Madlab? That sounds dumb." And
I've been told that
he
a few
messaged
times.
he messaged me again, and he's like, "This, blah blah blah," and so I ended up, for sure. I was like, "All right." I think I talked to someone there. It was like $1,000 to start, and you get all this stuff. And I'm like, I don't have $1,000, but I guess I'll run my credit card up. And so swipe that in like 2013 or 2014, and I've been with you ever since.
Well, I appreciate you making that choice. Let's back up a couple of. I just want to get some color into that thing.
Yeah.
I don't want to slow your thoughts down. Like I want to just let you
No,
roll
good.
here because usually beautiful things come out of that. So what was actually going wrong? You had 30 people. Fuck it, you got 30 people now. How would you do it? And what were you doing then? So 30 new people just go, fuck it, I'm joining Beau's gym like now, today. What would you do?
I'd be tough if we had 30 people wanting to sign up today. Obviously, if I were on ground zero and I was needing to get things kicked off, maybe if those
No,
all
no,
those 30
no, no,
people
no.
were in the
That's not the
same.
question. No, stop.
Okay.
Stop. Right now, let's say, I got a marketing thing that I've been holding back on you. I kind of sprung
Yep.
one on you there a while ago. But I got 30 people that want to start with you next week. What would you say to me, and then what would you do with them? What would you do? It's a test, by the way.
Yeah. Well, I wouldn't be able to take all 30 of them on. So we'd have to have a consult with each of them, figure out were they the right fit for us, what they're looking for. And then, we based on that, we would accept the ones that we could, and the ones that were on potentially put them on a waiting list. They were willing to wait around. But, as far as the business goes and long-term success of the client, long-term success of me not burning out, long-term success of the keeping clients around, I would definitely I'd take on the best. And if I had 30 people wanting to join right this minute, my prices would be higher, and I would be charging. They'd be paying for, the people that are really committed would be paying for a year in advance to secure their spot. I mean, we would definitely was it supply and demand?
You passed the test. For a guy not too good at math, you figured that out pretty good. Okay, let me dig a little deeper. This is cool. How many are you going to take? Where are you going to put them?
How many am I going to take?
Yep.
As many as my three coaches could take in the week or month. And we've got our group classes that are already kind of pre-designed to take on the clients from the new intros and the new fundamentals that we run through. So once they've completed their time with us, whatever we determine that is, based on their kinesthetic awareness, based on their past training history, health history, goals, we graduate them to class at some point in time. But and that would all depend on the person. So if they're coming in, they're an athlete, they're 2 years out of school, they've been training in a college weight room, and they may need a lot less time one-on-one than someone that's a grandmother or say a mother that hasn't trained in 10 years and needs a lot more extra attention and teaching to that point to get them to a class structure for safety purposes. And obviously the when the coach feels they're ready.
Yeah. So, two questions. The average person, just a common person coming in, right? Let's say the person's 41 years old.
Okay.
No major injuries, but I mean, they got the regular bangs and bruises. 20 pounds, maybe overweight, used to be an athlete. About how, I know you got to do all the evaluation, all that, but how many one-on-one personal training sessions do you think, if you had to take a shot at it, put a board, how many are you going to do before you put them near your group classes?
Um, I mean, they're looking at a minimum of probably 8 to 10. Um, potentially more than that. We 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 kind of run a little bit dumb. I would say a dumbed down version of the CrossFit style of programming here, just due to like our demographics. So, and if I were trying to do that in a maybe where I didn't have control of the programming of the workouts and knowing that, we're not going to be doing some high level type stuff like snatching a lot, that might be longer than that, 12 to 15 sessions. But the average person, I can probably get them there, 41 years old, 8 to 10 sessions with, in the beginning, at least, one checkup session every, 4 weeks, a minimum. If they're willing to do, more than that, like one every 2 weeks type deal, then maybe that's closer to the 8 sessions. Cause I know I'm going to get them in class a couple of days. I'm going to get to see them in 2 weeks, get them in class for 2 weeks, see them again. And so kind of like a rolling start, I guess you would call it. So it really just kind of comes down to the, monthly, hybrid membership they wanted to get into as well, which we have that discussion with.
Right. And hybrid membership, just for those listening at home, means probably one personal training session, 2 weeks, 4 weeks, or 6 weeks, once a month, something like this. And our sort of standard is once every 6 weeks in our gym, but there's still people that see their coach once a month, and there's different programs, but there's very rarely ever like, hey, you're in a group class and that's it. That doesn't happen anymore in our gym, and that's kind of where our whole model's going. So, okay, let me just do some quick math for you. Let's say you got 3 coaches, and let's say right now they've each got 3 people in fundamentals, so maybe they got room for 3 more. If they want to go fucking hard, they got 4 people, right? They're seeing them 3 times a week, so we do the math real quick. So we got room for 3 people 3 times a week times 3 coaches. Are you taking anybody? If there's like one cheery guy in there, are you taking any new clients?
I mean, yeah, I tried to not take them at this point in time in my where I'm at, but if I'm definitely not I'm not going to turn down income.
That thing is just so powerful not to turn somebody away, right?
It is.
So I would say, when you get to really where you want to get at, and I tell you what, we were there and then we were not there, and then we were there and we're not there, and the not staying there is a function of us not saying, hey, we just don't need anymore. Let's just keep the quality at that level. I've had coaches right now, I got 9 people in fundamentals, right? Because they don't really have the heart to say, no, man, sorry, you got to wait a month, right?
Yep.
If you actually said that, I know. I mean, I'm back in with a whole consulting team with all of our coaches right now, going through what's next for us. Like, how do we get to a $400 a month membership? What does that look like? I mean, we'll never survive rent. So I'm convinced, and I haven't told that to our own crew. I'm convinced because I had that. I mean, when I was started in 2004, by 2007, I had a wait list forever. Like didn't have a wait list for me personally, right? So, I mean, I think the number there is 9. You're taking 9 out of 30. You're triaging them as best you can and say, listen, I can get back to you when I graduate a guy or 2 and explain it to them. I'm only taking 6 at a time. And right now I got 6. And say, yep. I can see you 3 weeks from now for us to do a consult. I mean, this is not a problem where, you don't really want to have that problem all the time anyway, I think. But it's a good problem to have. But you see why all of these systems come about. Like there's whole industries and software companies and all this stuff doing the triage, right? I mean, that's what UpLaunch and all those guys are about, because if there's a marketing company that can bring in 50 people, they need to do a quick triage. So here's like, we have our form once and you fill out all this stuff and then you can triage them and stuff, right? Mm-hmm. But it's all based around that And I think CrossFit's whole legs were based around, at one time, anybody could buy the name for $3,000. It was built on excellence, and then all of a sudden it was built on, here, you buy the 2-day course and you can open this thing up. When I started in 2004, none of that existed. We all had protection around us and all that stuff. So, I mean, in my opinion, yeah, it was great. Anybody could open a business, but, you know, what would have happened to you if you'd have kept on doing what you were doing, which is what happened to nearly, I would say, 95, 99% of the CrossFits from my day and the next day and the next day, and I still see it going on. I see it as my mission from the giant wave, God, Jesus, Jehovah, fucking whatever, from the higher power almost, and it sounds ridiculous, but it bothers me not the world doesn't know this, and it goes on now with, you know, Soul Cycle and Orange Theory and F45, and this thing is just perpetuating itself to bring in 400 people first fucking day. That's the new thing. That's what all those gyms are doing. They're bringing 400 people the first day. They get some guy who's a doctor or a lawyer or a nurse or middle management, Lululemon, to buy this thing because they show them, hey, we can get you 400 members the first day at $220 a piece. And they look at it, look at their rent, they look at their payroll and go, fuck, I'm rich. And they buy that thing because they saw what CrossFit did. Like, they really saw what we did. I don't want to sermonize anymore, but I just think that is the problem with the industry. They're not evil people. It's not based on evil. It's just based on money, and it's based on short-term thinking. And if we don't shine the light, I mean, I know if I don't shine the light on that, everything we've created to try and professionalize this thing is lost, because all the new coaches that come into it, that's all they see, right?
Yeah.
Now, take yourself back to 2011, and you're still running it that way. You don't find Madlab in 2013. How long would you have lasted? Like, what would your life look like if you'd have kept on doing it that way?
I mean, honestly, and I go forward to that. The conversation I had with the guy from Southern Moon is the reason why I was so willing to make that investment at that point in time is because I was at that point already. Like 13 or 14, I was like, I can't do this anymore. I'm having to work 2 jobs. I'm barely making rent, or leases, or my lease. I just kind of felt burnt out in general. I'm coaching all the classes. I didn't see a way to pay my coaches, like out of the gym. I wasn't making any money to pay them. I mean, really. And it was just kind of that moment where I was like, all right, well, I gave it the old college try, and I can't do this anymore type thing, because I'm already having to go back to work, and I'll just go back and I'll have a secure job teaching PE, and I'll go back to playing around with some training on the side. So that was where I would have probably ended my gym owning career at that point in time.
2014, 2013.
Yeah, I don't remember exactly when I signed up. I can't remember, but whenever that was, 13 or 14.
So I met you at the games. So somehow we just found each other beside each other, and you're like, "Yeah, I'm a client." How did that? Because I remember we were drinking, but I mean, it wasn't. I can drink a lot, remember it, know what's happening, and
that was the year you bought a box. And
yeah, we shared it with. 1 year we shared it with Zen Planner. That was the year after, so that would have been 2014. Yeah.
If you remember of Madlab, you got to get a blue bracelet. I remember that, and I had to go find somebody somewhere and tell them that I was part of the Madlab group. They looked me up, and I got in with a blue bracelet. So I was hanging out in the me and my wife were hanging out in the little area up there with you, and that's kind of where we met the first time, which would have been the same year that I think I signed up. Would have been that same year.
Yeah, so it's 2014. So, man, that's almost 9 years. That'll be 9 years in July.
Yep.
That's fucking wicked. We've got a few guys left from the the Alpha Beta Gamma trials. There's a few guys in there left. But, I mean, 10 years is a long time to do anything. That's really interesting. So, I mean, I remember that conversation. It was you and Amy, and we were just, you were so dead honest and truthful, and you'd bought that barbell, barbell logic guys or whatever. No, it was a barbell. What were they? Barbell Shrugged. And they were the first guys to podcast in the CrossFit space, and they got extremely successful. They got extremely popular. made a lot of low-hanging fruit money because, I was going to meet with them. You're like, hey, I bought that blueprint. And I was like, what was that like?
Yeah.
What was that barbell blueprint like? And they were selling. I'll tell the second part of this story. This is another thing that goes on with the industry. Guys become famous inside of it. And then now they're business consultants, and they've never run a good gym. It's just that other part just fucking drives me crazy. So you bought the blueprint. It was $1,500. What'd you get?
Actually, I think it was $895. I remember this, but basically with that, they gave you it was a lot of material you had to shift through. It was a folder full of day 1 through day, I want to say 10 days of fundamentals with videos attached to each day, how to run the fundamentals.
That was all group, right? It was all in a group, and it was all group. It was just more of the same.
Yeah,
right?
They called it, I think it was the fundamentals, I think is what they call it. I can't remember exactly with that, but and you got some other like revenue type stuff, and you got ways to do some like post about it, how to go about posting to kind of drive up interest, things of that nature. Basically, just the way they had done it at I think that time their gym was called Faction Strength and Conditioning, or Faction CrossFit. I don't remember exactly, but they had basically took what they did and bottled it up, and then just regurgitated it to you in a blueprint of how you should do it. Yeah. So that's what we did.
Well, the irony was it was already failing in their own gym. Their own gym was failing miserably for the same reasons. The coaches are paid by the hour, don't give a shit. The group fundamentals thing doesn't work. It's too cheap. Like our 9 laws, it just basically violated every one of the 9 laws, and it was already failing. And Mike Bledsoe, I really like that guy. Actually, I'd like to have a conversation with him again. But he saw that his gym was failing. He got a hold of me. He hired us to consult to his gym. They'd hired a GM, David, really nice guy. Both arms were crossed. He didn't know any of the finances. They wouldn't show it to him, but he was like consulting. He was trying to run the gym on our model because the blueprint had already failed them. But yet they were selling they raised the price to $1,500 a month, and they were selling the shit out of them. Because I sat down with them and said, listen, you guys are famous in here. I don't like being on social media. I don't like being the popular guy. Why don't we team up? You can do your podcast around our system, right? And Mike was like, yeah, that sounds good. I mean, you were in the box that day. They had one big guy that was, I really liked him.
AJ Roberts.
Yeah, he was super cool. And he knew a lot about marketing. And I was like, man, this could be a really good partnership. So we all met up, and they brought their whole posse, and I brought my smaller posse. And, they were raking in money, and they had everybody in the CrossFit in 2014 looking at them. And I'll never forget it. I was like, okay, well, let's just work on this deal in principle. It should be really simple. I'll just bring the gym consulting and the business model for how to run a gym. You guys can do whatever the fuck you want, but I'll give you a cut of like a marketing cut, like 20% or something. I can't remember. And I'll never forget it. Their COO overruled Mike and everybody at the table and said, listen, hang on a second. We sell, I think it was like 30 to 40 of those a month, those blueprints, at $1,500 a piece right then. Like,
yeah,
dude, they were making $60,000 a month, US, absolutely 100% profit a month, and they didn't want to. They thought that might last forever or something. I mean, it was another short-sighted decision, and I was just like, I was flabbergasted. I go, man, you think that's going to last forever, and your own gym is running our system? Like, I was just, I looked over at Audrey and the rest of my team, and I was like, I think it's just time to leave. I got up from the table and just walked out, and that was that. But he was overruling it like hard, and I was like, Mike, if I said, not only is this unethical, right?
Yeah.
But it's short-sighted because that's going to end, Anyway, that is the other beef I have with the industry, and I'm throwing it out there. I actually really like those guys. If I had got that kind of money rolling in, I might have made the same decisions. I don't know. That's just that never really happened for me. Actually, it did happen for me. I made, in 2016, 15, 16, 17, all of a sudden that attention came to us, and we did a lot of wrong things too. We tried to expand, hired too many people. We tried to do it with machines, and somehow you made it through that whole experience. So, okay, so we're up to 2014. You hire us. you buy that $1,000 product, and then you got a monthly membership of some kind with us. What were the changes you made in your gym?
Well, that was where I first learned about the one-on-one training. Like the fundamentals based on the at that time it was three. I can't remember exactly how we did it, but it was like the one initial session. Yeah, we added the three later. I've done the Madlab model multiple different ways too, because there's multiple ways to do it. But
we've let people try all kinds of ways, and now we know pretty well what works. But yeah, keep on going, buddy.
But yeah, so I introduced that for the first time. I'll never forget the first guy I told that it was going to cost. And remember, I'm from Royal, South Carolina, so if you're from a big city or something like that, the money I'm going to tell you is probably not what maybe your gym's profiting or what you may make in your gym, but the price of living and around here, the average income is about $24,500, even in 2021. I'm sorry, 22. So at that time, 2014, to tell someone that they had to pay $600 to do 8 to 10 personal training sessions, that was a hard pill to swallow for me to be able to switch from as a like, holy crap, no one's going to pay that mindset to doing that for the first time. So that was the initial thing we changed was there. And again, I didn't really have any coaches other than, my brother, so I was still basically running all the classes.
Yeah.
And so from there, what we did was we entered that. We learned the coach's compensation model, which at that time I just did for myself. But I saw that was like a big thing. Like, hey, I think I can do this, long term. But it's like, how am I going to make it work? And so it's kind of figuring out, that scenario of things. That was probably the two biggest things that I had to focus on in the beginning, I guess. And then over time, the other stuff kind of came through. But
okay, so at the time, we didn't know how to teach other people how to do it, and we were still evolving as well. But I knew it was, if you do a one-on-one consult by appointment only, and you do a one-on-one evaluation sort of assessment, right? And then you did like 10 personal training sessions at sort of market rates, and it's law of supply and demand. If you don't have a lot of demand, or you're not very good at it, maybe it's $30 an hour.
Yeah.
I started off at $5 an hour, Beau, and I remember raising my rates to $10 an hour, and half of my clients left. The ability for us to get it all out of my head and what we were doing. Even the people helping me were learning in their own gyms. It was just a fucking chaos there. But at least at that time, when you first came in, how did you? They had our online school, which was, I guess, okay, and it was rudimentary, but how did you actually learn how to implement this stuff from us then? Like, I'm kind of trying to figure out, because there was a lot of stuff going on I wasn't quite aware of, but back when you started, I was fairly aware. You probably talked to Devin at the time.
Yeah.
And he tried to run you through how to do a first day assessment, and you probably came to workshop with us.
Yeah, I did. So at that time we had summits. And, I had, I think Devin was a contact. It was a pretty small group at that point in time. I don't remember exactly who my other contact was, but I just watched the videos probably 3 times a piece. I don't remember exactly how many videos there were. It was you talking. It was talking about, you had the old moose cock running around everywhere. And, but, it all just sounded like this makes sense to me. This makes sense in my brain. This makes sense to why it's failing. This is why I'm like dying. I'm basically making crumbs on the dollar. And if I don't make this change, then I'm not going to be, there's no way that I'm going to keep this business running. So I just shifted through all this stuff. And then it was just trial and error again. But the difference between this trial and error and the other trial and error is where I was seeing growth in the clients. I was seeing growth in my relationship. I was seeing with the clients. I wasn't feeling near as burnt out, taking on, 1 or 2 clients at a time at $1,200 for 2 people versus taking on 12 new people. And I saw the retention rates go up. And so me is just it started clicking like, oh, this is working, even though I don't necessarily know how to do it that well at that point in time. And, I kind of, I think all of this is really like, you have to kind of find your way inside your gym. There's a method, and then, there's a way to do it, but at the same time, it doesn't work for everyone the exact same way, but there's definitely like a path that you have to go down. And so I knew I was going down the right path just by those metrics itself. And I think my original turning point was when, I don't remember who it was, wrote on the Facebook group and said, what was your revenue last year? And I told you earlier, I was not really a numbers person, so I didn't really even pay attention to that. But I went back and looked, and that first year I implemented Madlab, it was like a $40K increase in money, and I was like, oh shit, this worked. And that's when I was like, all right, I'm in. I was kind of on borderline to that point, until that, and I was like, once I saw that original increase in revenue and the way things were going, the way I felt, I was able to go back out of teaching again and be in the gym full time again. And I was like, okay, this is the way. I just got to figure out how to do it better. And that's, what I've been trying to do since 2013, is each year get a little bit better.
The endless quest for excellence. Okay, so go ahead. I'm curious about this, because I haven't had the courage to go back and really ask people what their experience has been with the different. I mean, I don't know what generation for the Madlab online school of consulting. I'm kind of getting rid of the Madlab group thing, and Madlab school owns all of it anyway again. So I just, what was your experience like when you first came on, to we went through that web hub thing, to coming out of that web hub thing to now, and what was your Madlab experience like? I mean, I know the 9 laws worked. How we fucking taught you to implement them is like, man, that was a winding road for me, right?
Yeah, it was a winding road for me. It's changed a lot, over the years. I think, the biggest thing that's, kept me around was just the mindset of, I know the system you're teaching is working, and, I know where I was at a point with all that stuff. And so just the faith in knowing that this is the way, I was willing to suffer through some of the craziness, the learning, the changes, the different Madlab, what do you want to call it, schools, which honestly, I mean, to me, I always learned more from the conversations that we would have with other gym owners, typically at the summit, than I ever learned any of the school stuff. I mean, the school thing was nice, but it never really taught me what I needed to know. I think just having the direction pointed was the biggest thing. And then just kind of figuring out along the line, reading the forums, the Facebook group, going in and seeing asking the question of, I've always been pretty vocal, and anybody's in the Madlab group, and we're not quite nearly as vocal these days as we used to be in that group, but used to be like we were posting like every day, and I was always trying to be on those and asking questions and learning and trying to figure out what to do. And I think that's where, my ability to understand and take this and realize it doesn't have to be a cookie cutter plan. It can be, this is direction we're going in. Like, you got to figure it out. It's like for your path, I guess. I know it's a long-winded answer, but I hope that made sense.
Well, it made a lot of sense. You saved some harsh feelings for probably some people and myself there. But, I it was having people like you and Carl and Hunter and people that stuck around a long time. And a lot of people that, their path got shaken off the path. And you know what? Some of them should have left me, because we were trying all kinds of weird stuff. And I was trying to scale it. We're going to be, I did the same thing. I moose-cocked the whole business. We had a vision of getting to 1,000 gyms and kind of being like CrossFit or something like that, and it was the wrong vision. We sunk a lot of money and people and resources, and in my own mind, I blamed other people for that for a while, saying, "Oh man, they sold me on something." But it's my fault. I mean, if you think it's not your fault, the things that happen to you in life, then you're going to run around powerless, unless it truly is a tragedy or an accident or something. But that was no accident. You know what I mean? We got stars in our eyes too, and we got away from really the 9 laws ourselves. You know, Carl Brenton just begged me, you have to go back to one-on-one consulting with the gym owner. It was the only thing that got me through. And you got to do the same thing with a coach. And then you got to be constantly improving upon that process. And you got to track the data and the numbers and this kind of stuff. So, you know, I thank you guys for sticking around and sticking through because, you know, frankly, I mean, I can't tell you how many business consultants came up earlier than us, same time as us, since us, that have come and gone. And they usually go through a path. You know, they become famous for something, right? Like if you take the Barbell Logic guys, they became famous for doing a great podcast that was funny. In my opinion, even I curse like a sailor, as you know. In my opinion, it was even too much. It was hard to listen to for me. You know what I mean? It was like cursing for the sake of cursing and stuff. But they built a huge following, and the next thing you know, they're selling products off of that. And they're business consultants, and you know, and the world didn't know any better. They bought it, you know, because you throw a good podcast doesn't mean you're a good business consultant. And you know, then it was the Biz, and it was like one after the other after the Biz was even before that, long before that. And you know, if you name them all, there was a crazy amount of them to come through. And I mean, one time we sat down and looked at it, it was like 10 of them. And, you know, now you got guys that are doing, they're movement guys or they're marketing guys. They're one of the two. They either come from a world of, hey, I know how to teach, assess, and correct. And, you know, they get on Facebook, they start making a bunch of money, they get supremely confident, and then they start sounding like Hulk Hogan on fucking Facebook. And that draws in all the shirtless crowd. And then they're business consultants, and it never fails. And it's one after the other, and they go back. They don't know. They never ran a good gym. I mean, you track almost every one of them. I mean, Jim launched the guy. I mean, the guy never had a good gym. You know what I mean? They figured out a marketing way to do things, and we're looking at this at the time. I mean, I can tell you, out of 100 CrossFit or Madlab gyms at the time, I bet you 20 of them just went and did it. You know, and there's guys in your neck of the woods that down south that did it. And I mean, it was the power of it. I didn't know quite how to explain it, that the client development process is bound to fail. It's going to fail. It's going to churn. But more so, the coach never has a chance to get professionalized in that model. Like if you're taking a whole bunch of people, put them in a group class, by the hour it's not going to work. So in this industry, it's twofold. They kind of go along with each other, you know, and a guy can all of a sudden be a business consultant and he can scale it fast, and then they fall off. So it's like every 2 years a new one comes along, rises up, and then you see them, the slow descent into hell. And you can see one of them going on right now. That you know, a year and a half ago, we had a couple of clients that left, and they all left them, but they drug him along with them. That here's the new flavor of the week. This is fucking awesome. This guy's awesome. And you know, so anyway, I thank you for sticking through us and seeing through all that stuff. And the madness of the gym launch thing a few years ago was it really solidified that if I had been, it's not all my responsibility, but if I had been out there really educating people on why that was going to fail, right, then a lot more gyms would be around and doing good work.
Yeah, you know? I think the allure, going back to the allure there, was the reason why, you know, I didn't get pulled into it was because, you know, I've always personally, I've tried to keep overhead extremely low and try to keep, you know, things at or manageable. You know, I paid most of my stuff either with cash, or I would grow with the business as the business grew and able to like fund it. I think a lot of the gyms got really happy looking at some of the photos and of these really cool looking gyms, and they wanted everything at once, and they went out and leveraged $100,000, $200,000 on equipment, and they got in this crazy ass lease that they couldn't afford in the first place, and they ended up painting themselves in a hole that it was like they saw no way out but that was the, you know, I can get you 15 leads a month, and if you're in that much debt or you're in that much like dire need, like you're willing to do pretty much anything. And I think that was where a lot of gyms were at to buy into that, and he was taking it, or let's just say that business was taking advantage of that need and want to get all those clients, and they just didn't realize how much churn that was actually going to have. Yeah,
100%. So you heard it right here. Don't pin yourself into big, expensive gyms and leases and equipment and all that stuff right off the bat. You got to slowly grow with it. I mean, I changed gyms 5 times in 5 years with the organic growth, and then taking on 50. I can see it. I know exactly who you're talking about. I can name 10 gyms right now that were in our network that grew too fast too soon, and then they couldn't pay their bills. Now they're caught in that game. Give me leads, man. I just need leads. I need to make my nut this month, and they can't take their time, I don't know if you've seen that graph. There's a whole bunch of things I want to show you guys. Again, I've been learning in the last year, but there's a graph that shows profit margin over time, and the time is how long it takes to build a coach in our system. Have you seen that graph?
Mm-hmm.
And, up until coach 2, you're not going to make any money. If you're coach 1 and you're in a small space, you can make money first day, right? It's kind of like, how big of a sleigh do you want to build to pull? So we're going to big Santa's big sleigh and fill it full of toys. Well, we need 18 reindeer first day. Well, how do you train, develop, build 18 reindeer? I mean, it just not going to work. It takes 3 years to train a reindeer, right?
Yeah. I mean, I'm going through a brand new coach right now, and I can't imagine trying to do more than one at a time. It's just maybe 2 at max, but
2 at max if you had some crazy lead source or something. But I mean, you're in a small town too. So okay, let's take you all the way through. So you saw no hope, and I really appreciate for being that honest and telling me that. And you saw hope, and then you slowly built. It wasn't like one day you were just awesome as I gave you the fucking here's the chalice and you're awesome. Here's I hate calling it blueprint, but I think we had 7 laws at the time, and maybe we didn't even call them laws when you first came on.
I think we did call them laws.
Yeah.
The Jim and Ain't Easy laws.
The Jim and Ain't Easy laws, and you follow them roughly, and you learn and you get better, and then the sales training part came along. Did that make a difference for your guys?
I think so. I think for me personally, just realizing, I think the biggest thing I took from the sales, 'cause I still don't do it all right, but the biggest thing is the confidence and the being okay with the money talk, and that's taken time over the years to develop. But I think that was the big thing of hearing the Greg Mack course and going through it and being like, we're trading time for money and money for time, and just having those conversations and making it okay. But I think, for all my coaches, that's been a huge benefit for them.
Yeah. And did you ever do the in-person one with Greg, or did you do the online?
I didn't. I kept wanting to do it. And then I think he stopped traveling. And of course, the online one came about. So I did the online one and did of course, we had the in-person meetings like every Friday or something. We did quick Q&As. Yeah. But I was really wanting to get to the in-person. But I think it was good to do it the other way, because it's you were able to kind of take a week, digest it, go back and digest it again, versus just being being fed from a hose pipe, because there's so much information. It's like I said a minute ago, I still don't even get half the things right. And after I finish a consult with somebody, like, I could have probably did that, this, that. So
yeah, that's awesome. That's the search for excellence, not in a hurry. Gotta go slow. You gotta caress your vowels.
Yeah.
Oh, Bibb.
As you can tell, you got to be a little country.
You gotta be a little country, and you know what? That is how I did things, and I'm kind of a fast person, as you know. I kind of talk fast, I kind of move fast, but generally at heart, I was a lazy kid. I was like the big bull who liked to lay in the sun. I want to get back to that place in my life, and I've had it too fast for too long, and now I finally got Madlab, the bricks and mortar. They're in a really good position, but we're improving. Like, we're doing Rainmaker 301 with Greg, and man, that thing has been an eye-opener, gut shocker. I mean, we got coaches. We're going back and forth at each other. We're like doing the full-on discourse. We're at week 5 into a 14-week course, and we're upending the whole cart again. And as you know, I got 3 coaches that have been there for more than 15 years. I got 5 that have been there more than 8. And I got a new, just freshly minted associate coach, and 2 apprentices coming up through. And, Tom's, he's doing all the on the floor day-to-day of that. But what's coming out of that, Beau, is shocking of what we're learning of how good we're not and how much better we can be. And, we're doing $1 million a year, and we got 6, 7 full-time people. And I thought, yeah, we're doing great. But there's this thing leaking in, but we're not. There's these things that are just, we need to have a process to flush them out without breaking into civil war. And I didn't have the time to tackle that because I was cleaning up Madlab group. I had to clean that all up. So that and taking slow. I'm leading up to something here as you're giving me brainwaves. And I know in podcasts you're not supposed to talk too much, but I want to throw something against the wall for you. So right now we're going through our 6 KPIs, really tracking them for each coach. At the business, I've been tracking them from a higher level, each coach, and then going through what does the consult look like. Every coach is doing a different consult. I wasn't really aware of that. Every coach is doing a different 3-day assessment, sort of in their own manner. Every coach is doing the one that we do 18 personal training sessions, 15 maybe after the 3-day assessment. And then our programming, like you said, is way dumbed down. We're not doing a snatch with anybody anymore. I mean, a snatch for time with a new person that's been undiagnosed or unassessed. That's why.
Exactly. Yeah.
Why? It's insane, right? So we're looking at all the programming and all the stuff, and we're going to come up with a whole new lot. And when that comes out, in that process we followed, I want to do sort of another summit, but it's a learning thing where I want to actually sit down and ask you all questions about every part you're doing along the way of each one of these things. And I know we always left it as room to grow and learn on each side of all that stuff. But truly taking best practices, truly finding a way to track the 6 KPIs in a really efficient manner, and that putting that through our network is something I'm excited to do, and to get everybody together again. And I mean, the group is smaller. And if that, I know you ever see the movie, was it Rockstar with, what's his name? Guy from Philadelphia. He was a Marky Mark there. Marky Mark? What's his real name?
Yeah, I don't know. Mark Wahlberg.
Mark Wahlberg, yeah. So, he starts off as just a singer, and then he gets in with that big crazy band. He gets fucking drunk and high and goes bananas for a few years and goes on tour and can't remember what room he's in or what city he's in.
Yep.
And then that all comes apart, and then he's, fast forward, he's by himself singing the guitar in a little bar. That's kind of what I feel like now after going through all of that madness of Madlab, is where I'm back in my own gym, managing our 40, 50 gyms that are left, and then trying to do that excellently. So I thank you for being here for me, brother. And
yeah, man.
Would that interest you to get together somewhere? And it's not the big crazy party it used to be. It's something else, right?
Dude, I always loved the summits. I hated that we did away with them. I think that, again, you got so much out of that time. One, relationships, you can do only so much through. I think 2021 taught us, and 20, and taught us a bunch about what personal connection needs to be. And we can do this, but there's a big something to be said about having that relationship with somebody on a one-on-one basis. And I met so many good people, and I met the ability to learn from times, even if it's sitting around having a beverage with somebody. We were always talking business. We were always talking stuff. We might have been goofing off. We might have been having a good time, but there was always something that we were learning. And so when I came back from those, I was always rejuvenated, re-energized about the path. And to be honest, that probably kept me in it longer, which allowed me to be here, was just getting to those times and being like, all right, I got it on these people. When I come back home, I feel a little bit more energized. I feel like I can do this again when you might be getting burnt out. So I would definitely be in for it.
All right. Well, me and you'll have a conversation about this. Maybe you can be, maybe you can help me with this. I got a vision. It comes out through this conversation with you. I got a vision coming, and I think it's something could be really fucking cool and real, right? Like I put that off. Those things burnt me out, and I fucking never made any money off them the last 3 or 4 years. Actually, I lost money. I was bagged from it, and then they were trying to sell all kinds of crazy shit. Anyway, it was all my fault again. But okay, so let's take a couple more minutes and just kind of see where you're at now. I have 2 questions for you. One, we go all the way back to you teaching at school, and you fucking hated it. And before you started your first gym, there had been a Madlab gym in town, and you had an opportunity to go in and earn like a Madlab coach, the way you're doing it now. would you have ever started your own gym?
Probably, man, that's hard to say. I don't know. Now, I mean, looking back, I can say now I would not. I would be a coach. Um, Matter of
I think
fact,
the same thing.
you
But
know, in the next 5 or 6 years, I'm looking to start. My wife's a travel nurse or as a nurse, and my daughter's going to be 18, and we're looking to kind of get away from here for a while. I've grown up in a small town my whole life, and I've been here, and I just want to see the world a little bit more. And so, in the next 5 or 6 years, I'm going to be looking to potentially get out of here and go do coaching. Potentially, I don't know what that looks like for me, but I can tell you that that's looking around for a Madlab gym or something of that sort would be my first look.
well, I'm coming with you wherever your fuck you're going. We might go
Yeah,
multiple places. Maybe there could be some real good online work for a guy like you, and you never know in a few years'
yeah,
time.
that's
You
that,
know.
that's kind of my plan. But that's the mindset I would. It's the stuff that I have to deal with as a business owner side of things. It's nice. I wouldn't trade it for the world. I mean, it's allowed me to, have a real estate side of things as well. I kind of branched out there and with the gym ownership, but I just the coaching side to be able to just do that and
Not
only
all
that,
these things to worry about as a business owner. Yeah.
man, it would be it'd be nice.
Yep. I'm getting to the place. I'm in my mind. I'm downsizing right now. I've been on semi-sabbatical here. I worked too much. It took too much on for too long. I'm out of the danger zone. I actually went and saw my rebirther, counselor thing for a 3 hour session. And you do all this breathing and talk about everything. You flush it out, and yeah, man, I want a simpler life. I don't need to be rich. I just want some security, and I'm gonna.
100%.
Everything is ours again. It's all mine again, and I don't have a karmic debt to CrossFit or anybody else. Everybody that ever used their brand or their name to get ahead at all, that's gone. I paid the debt, and I'm ready to just build this thing up organically, the right way from day one. So I think we got our 5 year plan here, buddy. I like it.
Sweet.
Yeah. Okay, that was one question. Well, that led into the second question. You answered it again, which is, what does life look like in the next year, 2 years, 3 years, 5 years? So maybe right now you got three coaches, and you're doing a certain amount of coaching. You're in a small town. You're making enough that you're happy. You're good. Everything's good.
Yeah. I mean, I think I'm lucky enough at this point in time in my life where I'm like you, like I don't need for anything or want for anything. I just want to grow, keep the business, growing slowly. I don't need to have this big, large, 50,000 extra dollars a year coming in or anything like that. We have a really low, mortgage on the building. It's obviously, a huge thing for me. So now it's just, I'm actually feel like I'm at a point where I'm taking on clients as I want to take them on, not because I have to take them on. And that's kind of freeing. And so I want to keep that going. Of course, I always want to add back to our tribe, but at the same time, it's like I'm okay with turning people away. Whereas, we had that conversation earlier. Like, I think for me, 5 years ago, this conversation would be very different. But now I'm in a position to where I'm okay with when I don't even do in-person consults anymore. Like I do it on the phone because I don't want to waste my time. And I tell them on the phone how much it's going to cost, and this is what it is, and you're either in or out. And I'm at that. I can do that now, which is pretty nice. So that's just, I guess my plan is to keep that going to where I don't need clients. I get them because I want them, and I get the clients that actually want to be helped, not the ones that are going to cause me a burden or drain me, become Dracula, but the actual ones that want to be here.
Yeah, that's awesome. And your coaches, how are they doing, and where are we going with that?
Yeah. So, I mean, I do have kind of so I guess one bad part is I am losing a pretty solid coach who's been with me for probably 9 years now. And that's something I'm trying to figure out how to replace that. Bringing up a new coach to kind of fill his role. over time, and she's in the JA1 right now,
Yeah.
going through the Greg Mack course.
She's doing okay. She's doing good.
She's crushed. She's good. She's a great coach. And by great coach for me is probably a different term for some other people. Like, she's very energetic. She's very likable. She laughs. People have fun when they come to class, which is like one of my biggest pet peeves. Is I don't want people coming in and it being a boring class or boring PT session. So she connects with people. She has a lot to learn on the cues and the coaching, but we can teach her that over time. I just need you not to let anybody get killed. And like, you can teach a basic squat, hinge, press, lunge, then I can probably pretty much make you a decent coach over time. But it's the personality that it's hard to find this day and age. So
personality, drive, perseverance, entrepreneurial spirit. There's a whole thing to this. But when I get to the point where, how's she doing? You said, well, she brought in $15,000 to the gym last month. That's when we know she's arrived, right? You got to put a number to it. And that's the one thing I think our system does that, people can't quantify a good coach because there's no number put on it, right?
Well, and I think that's another thing. The Madlab model was so freeing for me is it took a lot off my plate as a business owner, and it put a lot on their plates. And so teaching her how to handle that plate of managing clients and all the extra stuff of running her business, quote unquote, up under my business. And that's something that, Travis, who's the coach that's leaving, is I'm having to go back, and this is partially my fault of learning what he did to get to where he was and trying to reteach that to her as the business owner of how we got him to where I can leave for 2 weeks and I don't feel like anything's missing. And so, that's the hardest part for me is bringing up a new coach is how'd I do that? It happened, but it took time. So,
well, we had a clearer process now, and hopefully, there's some communication between you and Derek happening there. And, you should go in. I know you hate looking at courses and stuff. You should. We're redoing that whole program right now as we speak. They're presenting to me on Monday, actually, which is going to be all one-on-one now. No more group cohort, and it's all going to be one-on-one. And there's a new touch point with you and the instructor coach, and they're going to meet with their instructor coach every month and this kind of stuff. We just decided to fuck it. We pulled the Band-Aid off. We're making it more expensive, and we're making it so that it's actually not any more expensive, to be honest. It's just different touch points, and it's it is right down to our own nine laws again, right? So, all right, buddy. We're like an hour and a half in here, so I got a physio appointment 2 minutes ago. I think we could talk forever, and maybe I think a bourbon evening Zoomer could be a good catch up because I got a whole bunch of ideas I want to bounce off you, and we're out of time here. So I'm gonna reach out. I'll reach out after I get off of this thing a little later on today to say hi or tomorrow. Okay. And I just want to, my brain is humming with ideas, and I need to sharpen them into stuff we can really tackle and execute now. Ideas are cheap, execution's expensive, right? For sure.
I guess I kind of ended it from my perspective. I just want to tell anybody if they're, on the fence or this is the first time they've listened to it, if you just stick it out, listen to these guys, learn the process, ask questions. I am a product of success from Madlab, I think. I owe a lot to you guys for that. So I'm not saying I do it all right. I'm not saying that I'm this gym that makes, $1 million a year. We don't. We gross about $200K a year, but in a town where we have very little expenses, all my coaches make $40,000 or $50,000 a year. I make $40,000 to $50,000 a year, and we pay our expenses. So, I mean, that's pretty decent in our city, and we do what we love, and we work what I would consider little hours for that. So I can't complain. But I just want to say that kind of ended up.
Thanks, buddy. I appreciate that. It makes me warm inside. Okay, tell me how people can find you, because the other part is I want you to send this around to your own town, put this on your thing. Tell us your business name, the town you're in, and how people can find you.
Yeah, so it's Proverb Fitness or CrossFit Proverb. We rebranded a little bit, so just www.proverbfitness.com. That's Proverb, like as in the Bible, not Proverbs, but Proverb. And on Instagram at Proverb Fitness, and then Facebook it's Proverb Fitness as well. So pretty much everywhere, Proverb Fitness. You can look it up. If you, me personally, it's most Instagram stuff is Beau Bibb on Facebook, and Instagram is at Forged by Beau. So Forged, Forged by Beau. And yeah, questions I'm willing to answer. Anything else?
Well, if you're in the area, you should just go in and check this guy out and take him out for a drink and pick his brain, man. It's a beautiful one,
Sure.
and the heart is even better. Thanks, buddy.
Appreciate it, man.
I love
How's it
you.
going?
I love you.
Love you.